In the world of armored warfare, some tanks rise to fame not because they are fast, powerful, or terrifying, but because they are tough, reliable, and impossibly hard to kill. The Churchill Mk VII is one of those machines, a steel witness to war, built on the British belief in endurance over elegance, resilience over raw power. The story of the Churchill begins in the aftermath of one of Britain's darkest moments. After the fall of France and the evacuation at Dunkirk, the British Army had lost nearly all of its armored vehicles. Facing the threat of invasion, the United Kingdom needed to rebuild its armored force almost from scratch, and they needed a tank quickly. Not a perfect design, not a cutting-edge weapon, but a machine that could be produced fast, repaired easily, and survive the brutal, close-range fighting that was expected across Europe. That need gave birth to the Churchill line. Its design reflected lessons from the First World War. A long, sturdy hull, tracks wrapped around the sides for maximum grip, and a suspension built to climb trenches, rubble, and steep slopes rather than race across open fields. Many critics called the design outdated, but on real battlefields, mud, craters, destroyed towns, and fortified defenses, the Churchill proved itself as one of the best terrain climbers of the entire war. The early versions were far from perfect. They suffered from weak engines, unreliable transmissions, thin armor sections, and several design quirks that made maintenance difficult. Yet the Churchill survived not because it was flawless, but because it had potential. Its wide hull and heavy frame left enormous room for upgrades. Engineers could refine its armor, weapons, and internal layout with each new version. And the final evolution of that process was the Churchill Mk VII, the strongest, toughest, and most complete version ever built. Introduced in 1944, just in time for the Normandy invasion, the Mk VII arrived when Allied infantry faced some of the most intense combat of the war. Fortified villages, tight urban streets, heavy German artillery, and dense defensive lines. What the infantry needed was a moving fortress, something that could push into enemy fire, take hits that would destroy other tanks, and destroy strong points blocking the advance. The Churchill Mk VII became exactly that. The tank's reputation came from one defining feature: its armor. With a massive 152 millimeters of frontal armor on both the hull and turret, and layered side protection, the Mk VII was one of the most heavily armored tanks fielded by the Allies. In Normandy, many German guns struggled to penetrate it from the front. Even the powerful 88mm guns had difficulty unless firing from close range or at an angle. This allowed the Churchill to approach fortified positions that other tanks simply could not. Its 75mm gun wasn't designed to duel heavy German tanks, but it didn't need to. The Churchill's job was to support infantry. The 75mm gun fired both high-explosive rounds for destroying bunkers, walls, and machine gun nests, and armor-piercing rounds for self-defense. In the ruined streets of Caen and the shattered villages of northern France, the Churchill Mk VII often acted like a steel battering ram, leading the way, drawing fire, and breaking enemy fortifications so the infantry could push forward. Despite its slow speed, about 15 miles per hour at best, the Mk VII's lack of speed was never a disadvantage. Infantry tanks did not need to be fast, they needed to be dependable. And Churchill crews learned that their tank almost always brought them home. Many Mk VIIs returned from battle covered in impact marks, with armor gouged and scarred by enemy fire, yet still running under their own power. The Churchill Mk VII also became the foundation for a wide family of specialized vehicles. The most famous was the Churchill AR, armed with a massive 290mm petard mortar, one of the most powerful bunker-breaking weapons ever mounted on a tank. Other variants carried bridges, cleared mines, or demolished obstacles. No other British tank of the war proved as adaptable or as essential in combat engineering roles. Throughout the final year of World War II, Churchill Mk VIIs fought in Normandy, at Seine, through the Siegfried Line, and into Germany itself. While not as famous as the Sherman Firefly or as feared as the Tiger, the Churchill offered something unique: unshakable reliability. It was the tank infantry trusted, the tank German gun crews hated to see approaching, and the tank that could shrug off hits that would cripple others. After the war, the Churchill continued to serve into the early 1950s. Britain kept it in service for engineering roles, urban operations, and situations where its thick armor and strong chassis were invaluable. Eventually, more modern main battle tanks took its place, and the Churchill quietly retired. But its legacy did not fade. The Churchill Mk VII stands as a symbol of persistence. The idea that winning a battle isn't always about speed or firepower, but about enduring, pushing forward, and refusing to break. It was never the fastest, never the strongest on paper, and never the flashiest. But it was the steel wall that infantry could rely on, the fortress that moved with them, and the machine that kept going even when everything around it fell apart. The Churchill Mk VII may not have been the monster of the battlefield, but it was the backbone of British infantry operations. And in the memories of the soldiers who fought beside it, the Churchill remains a trusted companion, a rolling fortress, and a durable symbol of determination in the harshest days of war. Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. If you find the content helpful or enjoyable, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to support me. And if there's anything in the video that isn't perfect, I hope you can understand and overlook it. Thank you so much for spending your time here.